I think we might be live now. I'm hoping that this microphone is working. Let's see. Hey everyone, I am just getting started. If you could let me know in the comments whether you can hear me or not. I'm hoping this microphone is working, but can't tell otherwise. Current IML and trying to accept him. Okay, great. I'm happy to hear that you can hear. Hey, Marcus.
What's up, bro? How are you? Can you hear me? I don't have a microphone.
I don't know if it's your connection or my connection.
I'm gonna turn
might...
off my AC. Give me a sec.
I just see a spinning circle on your beard.
Well, has it changed?
It hasn't changed, but I can hear you now. Oh,
Okay.
wait, I see a different background. Okay, now it's better. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, this is so odd because I can only see a little bit of my face, but I guess that's just how this works. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had to I'm currently adjusting my position as well because it kind of cut off a part of me as well.
Hey, what's going on?
So,
Hey,
can you hear me,
I can
Marcus? I'm
hear you.
wondering if it's my internet connection or your internet connection.
I can try to go out and come back. It's probably my.
I'm gonna see if I move to a different location, whether maybe that's better for us. This seems to be more stable. Is that right? You can hear me now?
I mean, I can hear you the whole time. I don't think you can hear me.
Yeah, for some reason, I can hear you for like 10 seconds and then it goes
Let
out, but this location seems to be better for me.
let me go out and then come back in. Okay?
Okay, yeah, if you think that, I mean, you're good right now. So if you think that that's
You can
necessary,
see me also?
yes.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you're responding to me because before I was talking and you weren't.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. So what I am going to do is I am going to find just like a little stand. And yeah, for some reason, when I try to do a live in the kitchen, it just does not work for me. The internet's, maybe it's my end. So we'll do this. Thanks for being accommodating on that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so thank you for joining me, Marcus.
Hey, thanks for asking me to have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, so we've only seen each other in physical reality, like in very brief instances, but I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, the moment that I remember us being in the same location, in the same vicinity, was at the gym, at the hotel, at IML, and
Yes.
like, I want to fuck him. So I didn't say anything.
Well, I feel honored.
But I was checking you out.
I had no idea, to be honest, but
Uh,
yeah,
I,
you're trying to make me blush so early.
success. I mean,
So, um, tell me about like what's life been like as the IML?
so I have been going to lots of events all around the world. I've gone to, I've gone to Europe like once or twice a month, for the past few months. I mean, I don't, it's almost, it's all coming to a close. So, I suppose it was last May. So that's like, I don't know, 9 months now. I have like a couple months left. My math isn't perfect on that, but you know, and at the end of May, I'm giving the title up, and I'll be quite ready to hand it over to the next person because I'm tired. I've been all over the place. You know, traveling is super fun, but it's also really tiring being in many different time zones all the time.
Yeah, I can understand. It seems like a lot of work to travel around. I mean, it seems fun, but it also just seems that it requires a lot of energy to be able to maintain that for a year.
Well, I haven't been working, so I've just been hanging out.
Yeah.
My energy is going to arriving at these places and meeting people and sightseeing, you know? Yeah.
So has there been any like revelations or like, I don't know, things that you've learned along the way that yeah, things that you've learned along the way that maybe you weren't like aware of or anything like that?
Um, I would say that it's been really nice to go to a lot of different events that aren't just the like high profile events that most people maybe have heard of. There's a
Yeah.
lot of, like smaller community social that exist around the world. I went to Tromsø, Norway, where they have their gay pride in November. It's like it was like a blizzard and snowing on us. Not a jock strap in sight, so it's fascinating to have a gay pride in that kind of environment because all the gay pride pretty much happen in the summertime, in
Mm.
summer, right? In November, and um, you know, it has a really, it's very supported by the people there. So it's a really great turnout. Like, you know, I don't know, some percentage, a small percentage of the people are. I mean, not everybody who's coming to support the event is even gay. There's a lot of allies, and the
Yeah.
whole town is very supportive of it, and it's really very amazing. South Texas has had their South Texas. I went to McAllen, and they've had their leather weekend. This is their second time to do that. They just had it in February. Last year they had their first title holder, Rio Grande Valley, who the title holder Pedro Coronado, a great friend of mine who competed in IML with me. So it was really nice to be there as well. Um, it's just nice to see that there is leather community in other places other than Berlin and San Francisco and Chicago. Where do you live?
I live in Syracuse, which is upstate New York.
Okay. And, you know, that reminds me of the article that I saw from the leather coach guy when he was
Yes.
visiting in Syracuse and attending the smaller gay pride event in Syracuse. It was just so charming. And it really reminded me of like what a gay pride event really is, you know, aside from the way we do it here in Los Angeles, where a really big fee to see Christina Aguilera and Mariah Carey. You know, that's cool and all, but you know, it really takes it back to the root of like, um, you know, showing support for uh, gay people, queer people, the whole
Yeah,
rainbow.
I think like at the root of it, like gay prides in general, and especially sometimes even more so leather, is more of like a punk attitude. Like it's kind of like going against the societal grain. and just being like, you know, there are other ways of existing, there are other ways of being and living your life. And you know, there's certain places like LA and Chicago in which, in Berlin, that have this like structure in place for a very rich leather community. But I still think that you know, the internet has kind of brought the leather community, it's made it more available to more people, more accessible, so you don't have to be in those places to access it.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, and something that I kind of talk to you about, because I was observing your, you know, I follow you time, and you make a lot of videos, a lot of content. I must take so long, like much material and things that I should have ready, and I I haven't done it yet. So I'm amazed how you can put so much stuff out there. But to another point, which we can go back to that. The other point is I'm going to South America in less than 2 weeks to attend
Mm,
some leather socials in three cities. Buenos Aires, Argentina, Santiago, Chile, and Sao Paulo, Brazil.
mm,
And I found like nobody from South America, like, hey, come, we want you to come and see us. But for me, it was really important to, you know, if this contest, this international Mr. Leather contest, is international contest, like, where is the representation from other places other than USA, Europe? And so, for personal reasons, because I am a Latino from Texas, Mexican,
mm.
um, I've found the Latin American countries to be a really fascinating part of the leather community that I think a lot of people don't really, when you think leather, you just don't think of these places. But one of the other things that I think is super fun about part of this community is, you know, getting to see a new city or a new country, through, and but also sort of like to meet like leather folks in those places. Um, the combination is such a wonderful way to see the world, and you know, spend time with like-minded people. So I do credit the internet to me being able to find those people. I had to kind of like stalk them. And I give a special shout out to Leatherman Travel. Will from Leatherman Travel has been really helpful.
Mm.
Um, Checked out their Instagram, but they sort of like he's like a travel agency sort of, or leather people that might want some help organizing their leather vacation. Um,
That's great. Great.
so yeah, thanks to the internet, I'm able to make these connections. I haven't met these people in person. I haven't even had live like a FaceTime with them, but it's all happening. You know, some Instagram messaging, and it's I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting to think about what would your experience be like if you didn't have the internet. Like, I think that the internet just makes the connection so much easier. You know, like this whole thing at the moment. You know, like the fact that I could just message you and just be like, "Hey, do you mind just like chatting?" And it's completely random. Whereas with before the internet, I would have to know your phone number, or I would have to know someone who knew your phone number, and then like, you know, the process is a little bit more complicated. So I do think that it kind of, I like your idea of like spreading leather or going to South America to like, you know, ignite or introduce leather, or to like, you know, make it more present there, you
I
know?
I don't know that I would say that I'm igniting anything, but I'm sort of doing. They already have their socials once, their monthly socials set up, and I'm popping into their community already exist. I think
Mm,
more so doing is saying to the rest of the world, like, hey, like, there's people down there. They're just like us. They love leather just as much as we do. They're doing it, you know, in a similar fashion. Each place has its own sort of identity, but it's all the same world, you know. And so I'm just, you know, hopefully bringing a little more attention their way, and I would love to be able to introduce them to the rest of the world, and you know, in some sort of manner. I have some ideas, but ideas wonderful, and sometimes the carrying out those things is more challenging than I think. And so just arriving there and posting some things is a wonderful start.
Yeah.
But I'd love to be able to introduce those guys to more people around the world. But that's, again, one of the benefits of the internet, which I have a bit of a love-hate sort of relationship with,
Decoration.
because it's like we all sort of like create these characters of ourselves, and to what we curate, what we're, and sometimes it just starts to feel like, you know, like capitalism run wild with my whole identity. I suppose that's sort of what it is sometimes, but I don't know. It just has to be kind of kept in balance, I think.
I think so. And you know, there was a post that I saw as sometimes I mindlessly scroll through reels like everyone else. And I don't know who was saying this, like Brene Brown or someone else saying like the post on Instagram, like when we post something, it's in a way for ourselves. It's like maybe our dreams or of our aspirations of like this is who we want to become, or like this is more the energy that we want to embody. So I always, you know, I think that there's been like important posts, at least in my history, of like being able to talk about topics that you know, I wasn't comfortable talking about in the past, and be able to have that space. Um, I think that's made me feel more accepted and like comfortable in general about talking about more vulnerable issues. But I agree with you that I think a lot of social media is overwhelmingly capitalistic. Um, that every like 3 or 4 posts is an ad, and it gets really it gets to be too much, I think, at times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just like, as with anything else, it really requires that I have a lot of self-awareness around my own intentions of what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and that can be it can be, you know, a lot. My head is a lot generally, um, but yeah, it's a amazing thing that we're connecting. I just saw somebody who I sort of have a Instagram crush. Apparently, he hopped in. I believe he lives in Santa. Maybe I'll get to see him. I can't remember his name, but Art FSTC or something.
Mm.
What's up? Excuse me.
So I'm actually going to be in your neighborhood next
Are
week.
you coming to LA?
I am.
What are you doing over here?
So you know, I'm always curious about checking out different leather events, and so I kind of have a rule in place, not a firm rule, but I go to IML and then I try out one thing that I haven't gone to before. So this year I'm gonna check out the LA Leather Weekend. I think that's what it's called.
Awesome.
Um, and see how that goes. But I figured, you know, I have a friend out in LA who is very kind and housing me, and I figured, okay, like I'll check that out.
Great. When do you arrive?
I'm arriving Wednesday.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
how long?
So I'll be there I'll be there the whole weekend. I feel like Wednesday, it's like a whole day, like 8 or 9 hours of traveling. So like I'm gonna be probably dead on Wednesday. But then um, I was looking at the calendar of like the parties or the activities that are going on. So like I definitely will make appearances.
Awesome. Well, you have to come to the Eagle LA. Shout out to my home bar that I had 18 years since I was 21 years old, 40 years old now, and I still work there. That place has changed my life. That place is the reason why I'm having this experience now, and can't I can't say enough good stuff about the Eagle LA. So I am glad that you will. Have you ever been to LA?
Yes, yes. I was in LA. Um, I don't know if it was any special event, but I was there 2 summers ago. So like July of, I think, yeah, it was July of 2022.
Okay.
And I was at the Eagle and I had some fun at the Eagle and I really enjoyed my time
Oh,
there.
good.
Yeah.
One of the first people in the comments said come to Off Sunset, which is really the culmination of the Leather Week. There's a street festival that happens in front of the Eagle. They close off the street for a few blocks, and there's live music and lots of vendors and just lots of slutty people walking around in their gear. And Off Sunset Street Festival, it's sort of like LA's version of Dory Alley or
Mm,
Folsom Street Fair, but scale. It's hasn't been around as long, but
yeah.
it's what you have. And for anybody listening, Off Sunset Street Festival happens. I guess the end of March is generally when we do festival slash LA Leather Week. It's a really wonderful time. If you like a big crowd, lots of sexy people all condensed on high sexual energy. I've also learned, speaking of revelations, I don't always really love big, huge, because everybody is like, there's too much stimulation and it's hard to connect. I'm a very quite introvert actually, and I do a lot of
Yeah.
extroverted things, but I'm not great at small talk, and I don't like talking over loud music. I tend to like always gear conversations towards like more intimate subject matter, and it's just not very conducive to a huge event. But I
Yeah.
have the privilege to say I have a preference now because I've gotten to go to all kinds of events. And so, of course, they're wonderful and they have their place. Anyway.
Yeah, I would say that's something that I struggle with myself. When I go to events, I think it's important for me to find, like for instance, the IML. Like I have never gone to like the dance parties or anything like that, just because I find myself like really overwhelmed in those situations, and I enjoy just hanging out with a group of people and having um, more intimate conversations that way. So I think it's like at events, it's almost like a choose your own adventure, that you can choose how you interact with people at the event, and knowing that you have that power of like, do I want to go to this thing or do I want to do this thing, and knowing um, ahead of time, or like having an idea of how you're going to react in those different places.
I see a message. Somebody said I'm cutting in and out. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that. I don't know. Maybe I should hop off of my internet connection and just use.
Yeah, you do. Like I can hear every word, but sometimes the last word cuts out. So it's up to you, like what you think where
Well,
you have a better connection.
I'm gonna try like disconnecting from my internet. I'm not sure if that's going to make me lose you. So then I'll have to come back. Is that all right?
Yeah, why don't you try that and we'll cross our fingers.
Okay, let me see what happens here. Okay,
Are you back?
I am back. I've disconnected from my internet, and does it seem different to you?
Um, yes, it's hard for me to tell, but from that instance, it does seem less choppy. So that's an improvement. Can you hear me just as well?
Oh, I can hear you. Great. You sound great.
Okay.
Dallas, Texas. Awesome. We're glad you're here. Yeah, if anybody else listening is having trouble hearing me, go ahead and or message so we can kind of keep informed about that. Anyways, so yeah, I'm glad you're coming. Get to see you in person.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there was a part of me who, you know, whenever before I go to an event, I'm always a little like anxious about it. Like, why am I going? Like, this is going to be overwhelmed. Like, this is going to be too much. But then I started looking at the calendar yesterday, the schedule of events, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of excited. I think that this will be fun, and it will be a nice way to end winter or begin spring. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I really like that you think about going to things that you've not been to. That's really been a strategy, you know, my inclination as well. Like once I've been to an event, I am more inclined to like want to go to someplace I've never been, rather than repeating the event.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy IML, so I've gone to IML now a few times, so I don't mind repeating that because that to me almost seems like summer camp where I see, you know, all my friends at the same time, and there's like a nice feeling there that I have. But then I do think in general in life, whether it's events or food or whatever, I think it's important to spice things up and try new things. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to this LA leather event. I don't know, I have no idea what I'll do next year, but that's what we're doing this year.
What are you excited to attend? Like,
Um, there was this event called, I think it's like called Assembly, that might be at like Rough Trade, um, which looked interesting. It looked like a full bluff event, and you know, going to some of the cigar lounges, you know, which we don't really have around Syracuse. I think that would be nice as well.
yeah, that sounds like it's your speed. The assembly event is kind of like a formal with, you know, a little bit more of an intimate environment rather than being at the club or the bar with
Yeah,
loud. Although at the Eagle, which is not a cigar lounge, but it might as well be because the patio, wonderful
right.
place, smoke a cigar, and of course the music is is not as loud out there. That's where I
Mhm.
like cigars. I'd be smoking one now if I had space for it, but I don't want to smoke in my apartment.
Understandably.
So awesome! I'm so glad that you're going to be here. Give you a hug.
Do you have a lot of duties this coming LA Leather weekend, or is it just part of the competition that you have duties for?
Ooh, it's actually going to be pretty busy for me. Um, on Wednesday, the Leather Club or BDSM Club Avatar, they're hosting like a discussion with a couple of the other IMLs from that live here in Los Angeles. So I'm excited to chat with No and Gary. I forget how to say his last name. Izera. I'm not sure how to say his last
I'm
name.
not
But
sure.
so that's Wednesday. I work at the bar on Friday night. Saturday, I'll be doing interviews, the leather contest, Mr. LA Leather Contest, and the interviews in the morning. The contest is in the evening. On Sunday, I have the street festival. I'll be working butt off. It's like running a marathon within the bar, because I bartend there, and people are thirsty. So I'll be working ass off. Stuart's here. Hey, Stuart. And our current IMSO, I saw our current IMSO Liquid has joined the chat too. But
Nice.
yeah, so really busy. And then on Monday, I fly. I think I'm crazy totally to go.
Where are you flying? It cut out. Where are you flying to?
I'm flying to South America on Monday.
Okay, and
Day.
how long are you there? You said that you're going to 3 countries or something?
Yeah, I'm going to 3 countries: Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. But I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks.
Okay.
I thought I couldn't go to I couldn't go to. There's so many people like coming in. I couldn't go to Brazil and not go to Rio. So, this is something that I've done on a lot of these travels. Like, oh, I'm going for this event, but I've never been to that city, and I want to see it. So I've extended my stay and done a little vacation. I'm spending a few days in Rio, and then hopping around.
Mm.
Yes, they are waiting apparently in Buenos.
That's great.
Yeah. So have you been to South America?
It's on my list of places to go, but I've never gone.
What places have you traveled to?
What was that? You're going in and out again.
What places have you traveled?
I've done most of my travel to Europe. So I've been, um, yeah, in all of Scandinavia. I've been the Baltics, Russia, Germany, Austria, UK, Ireland, and then I've also been to India. But yeah, most of my travel abroad has been to Europe.
Cool. Are there other countries sort of on your list?
You know, before the war in Ukraine, that was on my list for a while, so I'm gonna have to wait until it's a little bit safer for me to travel there. But besides that, I feel at the moment called towards like Slovenia and Croatia and northern Italy for some reason. So I imagine maybe next year I might take a trip to that location.
You need to visit France. You're a chef. That's what Steve says.
I will visit France at some point. It's not the number one position, but it will be probably in the next 5 or 10 years. I will go there.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's so much to do in this world. It's like we can never get bored. There's always something to be interested in, to research, to visit.
Yes.
And you yourself very busy.
And like going back to one of the things that you said about me about like making so much content, I feel very I feel a lot of times like pretty content with what I have at home. That I am very happy reading cookbooks and making videos and working on projects that way. So I know how to entertain myself when I can't travel. You know, like I think that that's an important skill to have.
No, it really is, you know. It's been a huge honor to be able to, you know, give myself this sort of experience, and with the help of many other people and the travel fund that I won, International Mr. Leather. But you know, I think it's just a valuable thing to be able to understand what kind of motivates you and gets you excited, and to be able to access those things with whatever resources you have. Um, and so, you know, it takes creativity. I have stood up. I have to pee, so
Oh, okay.
I might do something that I tend to do. Sometimes pee in this bottle. We can carry on.
Okay. Are we going to just watch you? We're gonna have a conversation as you pee. Is that right?
I think that sounds
The
fun. Does any?
the um, the group of people that are in that are watching this are in for a treat. You know, we had no idea this was gonna happen.
Well,
So.
they're not gonna see it, but
So
you might.
after you're done with like IML, like where do you think what do you want to do? Like, do you feel like do you have any has this caused like any kind of direction shift of like long-term plans of like things you're thinking about?
Ooh, we've all seen him pee. Have you? Uh, oh, such a good pee. Still going, still going. This is a great question. Um, Last May, I was accepted to University UCLA, and then
For
I
what?
my major is Spanish community and culture. Um, and then the same month, I won IML, and I was very torn
Mm.
on what the outcome was going to be for me, um, because getting my education has been really, really important, uh, and winning this contest was something I didn't expect. It's totally surreal experience, but I didn't want to sacrifice. I couldn't do both at the same time. I didn't want to sacrifice either. I
Mm.
was I reached out to the school, and they approved that I can defer my acceptance until next year. Well, this year now, and so I'm supposed to start school at UCLA in September. I will be a full-time student. Up until now, I've done community college, and in community college, I I took one or two classes, just very slow, but at
Yeah.
UCLA, I have full-time students. So, um, I've known that that's what's next.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Are you excited about that?
Oh God,
That's a lot.
I'm so excited about it. And um, I I think the long-term goal is to potentially become a therapist someday. So I'll have
Mm.
many years of school that I will need to um, to do before I can move on with that goal, I guess. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Um, but I'm really excited to learn about. I've chosen Spanish as my major because growing up in Texas, my parents didn't teach me Spanish, and I've
Mm.
always, we're Latino, but my parents, they were punished for speaking Spanish when they were young in elementary school, and then they didn't think about teaching us. They didn't think about how it would benefit us to know both languages. And so they were just, doing their thing, like, just raising kids and trying to keep the lights on in the house. But I've always felt that it was something that was supposed to be mine. Um, and so I, as an adult, I've made it a priority for me to learn Spanish, and the sort of adventure that that goal is taking me on, is really exciting. I'm a slow learner. Everything I do always happens super slowly. I kind of hate that about my learning process. But at the same time, it doesn't serve me to not accept that part of my it seems
Right.
a part of my personality. And so which is another reason why going to South America is really important to me, to be surrounded by more Spanish speaking people and
Yeah.
more Spanish speaking.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for you to see how that turns out for you. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy that process. I mean, it seems like it's going to push you. And I think that you enjoy being pushed in some ways.
Well, that was a read. Yeah. Um, oh, I like the challenge, and I like to get in touch with things that really motivate me. And, choosing something that is a challenge is a wonderful way to, like, you know, get to get energized and be active. Congrats on your new tattoo, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. This is how it's healing at the moment. So, yeah.
It looks really. This very like geometric sort of style. I imagine you chose an art style that you like. So I'm curious as to what drew you to his style or her style or there.
So my background, I am a mathematician by training, and so I have a master's a bachelor's in math, a master's in math, and as well as a master's in statistics. So I have, all of my adult education has been in in that mathematical field. And so the artists that I found specialized in more like geometric and mathematical designs that to me like really spoke to me, just given my background, and I could view his work through that lens, and I could see mathematical properties that maybe he didn't initially intend, but that were like inherent in his figures. And so like I reached out to him because I really liked his work, and I felt like it connected to me in that way.
Did he also have a master's in math?
No, no, he did not have any formal education in math, but I think that he's kind of fascinated by by math, and is informed by it, perhaps.
Yeah, because the video that you posted sort of describes what the inspiration when you were like, I just gave the artist like free reign to, like, I was like, oh, I've done that before. And like, it's hard. I think sometimes it's hard for an artist to care about your personal story. It's like, it's not how I hope that it would be, but not always how it is in practice. And so I think
Yeah,
it's quite brave.
I was um I was looking for an artist that, like, what I liked about him is on his website he had a box that you could fill out to just be like, tell me your story. So like I told him a story, and wrote a lot of information down, and then I was surprised how responsive and how quick he got back to me. And then he asked me, what of his past tattoos. Like he had his whole catalog on his website, and he said, tell me which ones you like. Tell me also what you don't like. And so then he used that information as well as my story um, to come up with the design. And my understanding, he didn't show me the like ins and outs of this, but my understanding is that he has, it's not like AI, but he has some um, way to integrate these elements of the story and the elements of his past tattoos to help him come up with like potential designs as a starting point. So like when I went to him, he had 6 different designs up on his computer, and I spent like 10 minutes looking at them. And then essentially what happened was I was like, well, I really like this main design. Like it was design number 4, but I wanted some of the elements from the first design and some, one element from the second design. So we literally just copied and pasted these elements and moved them around to make like a composite design together. And then, yeah, he essentially just printed that out and put it on my arm. Um, and then just he tattooed over the ink, essentially. Um,
Well, it's a really geeky tattoo. So,
yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I mean, a geeky tattoo for a geek. So
well,
it
yeah.
makes
And
sense.
because I think people who geek out on things that get them excited is so cool. So,
Yeah, I've been feeling this like for a few years, like probably for 5 years, I've been wanting to get a tattoo. And I almost did get a tattoo, and I was gonna get like the standard like black armband. And uh I was told like one, I was a little bit worried because I was like, well, like what if I'm not feeling that way for that day? Like, when you have a black armband, that's going to be a one signifier of something. I was like, you know what? Maybe I want to have a left armband some days and not a right armband. But I was also like, I really want something unique. I want something that says more to me. And the black armband was like all I knew. And I was like, yeah, I need to find an artist that can help bring out something unique that like I don't want to do the labor of thinking about what everything means. Like I want to give someone the story and they do the labor because they're going to come up with something way better than I can. And I kind of love, for me, like I love playing with trust and I love giving someone that trust, that ability to be like, hey, I'm giving you my body to like do this thing that you do onto me. I don't know. There's something like really sexy about that.
oh yeah, definitely put it in those words. Absolutely, yeah. It's a great intimate way, and how that sort of comes up in all kinds of different ways in our life. Getting a tattoo, um, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I I got my nipples pierced last summer, and that was the gateway for me because I figured with a piercing, that's at least temporary. Like if I don't like it, I can remove it. Um, and what I was worried is I was worried about the piercing causing like permanent damage in that I wouldn't I would lose sensation of my nipples, which luckily did not happen. And I was told that that was like a pretty unlikely possibility. But since then, I feel, I don't know, more willing to risk or more able to give that trust to someone, to be able to trust an artist with my body, which again I feel like is like an important exercise for me in healing.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. You're really engaged.
I know, like I was initially trying to find like some BDSM like ceremony in which like for my first piercing, this is not what happens, but I was like hoping to find some sort of like ceremony with candles all around me, and there was going to be a piercer, and guys like putting wax all over me and then piercing me, and it was going to be like erotic, sexual, life-changing. I mean, that's only in my head, but I think it's better for me to have done it in a medical grade sanitary situation.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. Like the difference between how I perceive things in my head, that things I want to do or experiences I want to have, and then the difference between the way it actually ends up being.
Yes, yes, yeah. I I can have my ceremonies in my dungeon. So like I have a place for those kind of like crazy thoughts that I have as a way to like a place to execute that essentially. So I don't need to have that for all these major life or body alterations that I have.
Yeah, Stuart says, "I've got a ceremony you could be a part of."
Yes, I would love to hear more about
We're all ears.
it.
Send pictures. Video. Let's make this happen. Uh, Speaking of nipples, you like pump your nipples a lot,
I
and
do.
I'm working on getting mine bigger. Um, so I would love recommendations if you have anything.
Um, what I use, it's funny, people come to me with this question a lot. So I feel like what I am doing must be working, which is great. And initially, like at the start of it, I used this pump gun from like Mr. S. Um, they have this nipple pump gun. The gun can also be used for other pumps, for other attachments. But I started out with the smallest size because that will elongate the nipple. So start out with the smallest diameter pump, and I actually did that for a few years, probably a few times a week. And then I bought a cylinder that is a slightly larger diameter because that adds girth. And so the different dimensions of the pump do different things. So again, the smaller ones extend, and the slightly larger ones give more volume and girth. So it's good actually, like, once I felt like I extended mine enough, then I would work both things. So I would extend maybe for 20 or 30 minutes and then add girth. And Mr. S in particular, I feel like has a great selection of nipple toys. And, just doing it consistently, I think really does the trick.
Okay, well, I'm gonna need a link to the starter thing that you did because I'm not looking for girth yet. I want a little more length.
Yeah.
So I work better with like a picture or something. The link.
And okay, so here's like a little. This is like a slightly more advanced thing, but if you this is like three toys together. So if you take like the Mr. S, like the smaller cylinder, and you pump using that, maybe pump for like 20 minutes, then like you could take the the snake bites. I think they're called like, like the suction ones, right? You can put those on after. And the reason why I say that is there's this really advanced tool on Mr. S, and I think it's called like the elasticator or something like that. It's in my basement, but essentially it is this device that stretches out a small rubber band that can go around your nipple. And
Those kind of
if
intim-
you, what was
those
that?
intimidate me. The little rubber bands.
Yeah, they, I think that they speed up your elongation. So like when I do the rubber band thing, which I haven't done since I have the piercing, but when I would do it, I would feel it for days. Like my nipples felt different, even if I had them on for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like I could feel the effect for days. And so, if you want to go down that route, you could do that. The thing that is the most difficult thing about it is getting them off, because you got to use like scissors, and you got to get like underneath the rubber band, and it is a pain to get them off. It's not fun.
Yeah, telling you that's why. But yeah, if anybody wants to get me a Christmas present,
You'll have to put it on your wish Tinder or
I
whatever.
don't have those. But okay, I want to get my headset. I wonder if that makes a difference.
You could try it out. It's like I'm afraid it might be your internet connection more than anything. Oh, so someone says that they use oil to get them off, so I might need to try that. Um, yeah.
Dan, nice to see you. Scott, good to see you too. Lots of my friends popping in.
It's great.
So yeah, can you hear me with the headset?
I can hear you. The video, however, like it goes like in and out. So sometimes I see you, and then sometimes there's like a, a circle, like it's buffering. But it is what it is. But I can
Yep.
hear you, I think, when you speak.
All right. Well, yeah, it is what it is. So there's that.
So, um, what do you what are your plans for the weekend? What are you gonna do?
This weekend I am working at the bar all weekend
Yeah.
long. I work tonight. I work Saturday night. I work all day Sunday. I'm just working.
I because I'm going to be traveling to LA next week, I'm already in that zone of like getting things in order for the trip, and like, making sure I have the right clothes, like that are washed, and like making sure, because once Monday hits, like the work week, it's so hard for me to get a lot of things done. And going back to like your one of the points again that you made about like me making content, it's like I make a lot of content, but it's often on like 1 or 2 days, and then I kind of stagger it out across many weeks. So like tomorrow I'll probably spend some time editing photos or editing videos or putting things together, and like scheduling that out, just because that's how I've learned how to work, at least this year, is like using the scheduler function, and being able to push that stuff out. Otherwise, like I can't do anything during the week usually.
You have a normal job, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like 9 to 5, and then often after 5, like I just don't have the energy to do that kind of like, yeah, I just want to relax and not even think.
Yeah. Well, that's impressive how much you accomplish. So, you're my hero.
It's it's like an overactive mind.
Oh, that's interesting because I pulled a tarot card today,
Yeah.
and the card was sort of about that sort of subject. So that's why it was because of you. You're the overactive mind.
I'm the overactive mind, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's about learning how to make the most of it.
So this is the
I
card.
can't read.
It's not it's not important to read. It's just a bunch of hands and just they're kind of all sort of pointing in different directions.
Is this is it 9 of something? What is this?
Yeah, it's this is a tarot deck by a friend who's named Bobby Abate. He lives in
Okay.
Brooklyn. He's a wonderful queer artist, and he's sort of re-envisioned the tarot. So usually this would be the Nine of Swords, but he
Okay.
changed the suits to the Nine of Eyes. But yeah, it's just
Oh,
sort of like about frenetic energy.
yeah. So the 9 of Swords is usually like more of like a nightmare card, right? Like that's usually depicted by someone like waking up, or like they have the 9 swords um, above them. So I think the way that they've depicted it here is a way more kinder representation of that energy.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're familiar with tarot. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I've been doing tarot for more than 20 years.
Oh,
So
nice.
that is something that I really enjoy, and it helps me uh, reflect on my life and reflect on what I want and how I'm interpreting things and so forth.
That's great. I love that. How often do you do it? Or I imagine it changes here and there.
I It does change. I try to do it every 6 to 8 weeks. I give myself a reading, and I do like the Celtic Cross type of reading. And what I do is I have a journal. I have a journal of all the readings I've given myself since I think like 2007 to 2008 that I started doing this. And I write down the reading, like the cards, and I write down like what I think it means, and then when I'm good, I go back and I write down what actually happened and try to map them onto the cards. Um, so I feel like that it, it's like a nice exercise to kind of just reflect back on a period of time and think about, because sometimes you draw like a scary card. You could draw like the 10 of Swords, and you're like freaking out, like what does this mean, this kind of giving up, or this burnout, or this death, or this exhaustion. But then when you actually go through it, you're like, oh, that's all that could have, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was just this like shitty bad day, but it wasn't that bad. So it kind of gives you the perspective of like where the cards, how you interpret the cards is a function of maybe your anxiety, or your mental awareness. And sometimes it's good to clue that in, to be like things are not as bad as you perceive them to be.
Yeah, everything is certainly open to interpretation, and whatever message I feel I'm receiving, that's the message for the day. But it is sort of a really lovely thing and a sort of fun, creative thing to kind of help stay in that process of being like intentional and aware. like deeper awareness. I started changing. I took a photo of I'm just pulling one card, and I take a photo of the card, and then I put it as my wallpaper on my phone because I
Mm,
look at my phone 1,000 times a day. Um,
mm,
because I've been so like in another country, another time zone, back at home, and like all over the place. My
yeah.
usual practice can sometimes be like a couple of hours in the morning, like writing in my journal, researching things, pulling cards. And I really love doing that, but like I've been so distracted by
Yeah.
just going. And so this is something that I started last week is just one card, take a picture of it, use it as my wallpaper, and then sort of observe when it comes up, if it comes up, or how I feel attached, what message maybe it's saying.
That's a really nice idea. I've never heard of that, and I really like that idea, especially because we all look at our phones all the time, and this is like a constant, maybe affirmation or reminder, however you want to think about the tarot card. Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
love that you also are familiar with tarot and have your own practice. It's been a really important part of my spiritual sort of life.
yeah. It's something, I used to not speak about at all, and my whole like spiritual side, it used to be something that was very secret or private, but I do think it's important for other people to know that that side of me, and so I do enjoy giving readings to friends and talking about that stuff.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I um, I'm also like I'm less knowledgeable about astrology, but astrology also is something that like I find intriguing, and um, I don't have you know I will check my like transits and see how the planets are configuring, but I still rely more on the tarot for checking in with myself in a way.
Yeah. Tarot led me to astrology also. And I love astrology. It's very vast and there's a lot to learn. But I hope to, expand my knowledge of all that. As I
Yeah.
hope to expand my knowledge of like leather fetish kink. I feel like this year I've been doing all this traveling and meeting lots of people, but like my experiences as like a kinkster have been quite um, not a lot of new
Mm.
sort of learning new uh, skills. You know what I mean? Not very skill oriented. So um, but there's always time. There's so much time in the world to kind of um, learn new things. So anyway,
Yeah, I tend to think that like every year, I tend to think about years or like cycles, and like every year has a certain flavor. Like last year was very is had a very different flavor to this year so far for me. I feel way more relaxed. I feel just yeah, things are a lot better this year than last year. Last year was quite difficult for me. So maybe after you hand out the IML title, you'll have more time to like devote to like exploring your gangster side.
well, the other thing I feel like it's really attached to is individuals. It's like when
Mm,
I find a certain person that I want to explore with, um, that's kind of how I really develop more of the skill set around some sort of kink. Otherwise, I dabble, and it's just like, few here experiences here and there. Um, but I think, yeah, with more time on my hands, I might have more, might be able to kind of focus on something. Maybe drinking piss.
yeah, yeah.
I drink so much water. It's very hydrating. Hi, Scott. Anyway.
I mean, I think that's great. I think that a lot of people, I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today. You see, it's a common thing that people say, like, oh, drink your water, make sure to drink your water. And I think it's almost like we've lost the signal in our body, or we've lost the ability to read the signal in our body that we're thirsty or that we need water. So we now need to like remind each other that we need water. Um,
Oh, I just drink caffeine all day, every day.
well, it's great that you are balancing that out.
I mean, yeah, it's like not something I'm proud of, but it also is quite true. Um, there are worse things I could do. Oh,
So I'm gonna. I think that we should wind down because I'm gonna need to cook dinner soon.
right?
But I'm wondering, like, uh, first off, besides Instagram, where else can people find you if you want people to find you?
At the Eagle, LA.
Okay.
When I'm not traveling the world, I'm bartending there. Um, like I said, it's a space that I love to share with others. Um, I am on X under the same Marcus Monster, and really I just use that to post like it's like a public private album, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I just pop a photo here and there when I feel a little frisky, like I want to
Mhm.
show off or something. But it's not something I care about. I don't have an OnlyFans. Um, and do I have anything else? Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I don't use it as much. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, Instagram is the platform I use the most. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and I'm on
Any?
Scruff.
Oh, you are in Scruff, yes. I'm
I'm not
trying to
not
think
even
about a fun way to end because everything that I do is kind of like off the cuff. So I'm wondering,
well,
what's like,
maybe you need to pee in a bottle too.
well, funny
And we can
story
cheers each other.
is uh, I had to pee. Like, okay, so I'm wearing these pants. I don't know if you can see, but I'm like wearing these pants, and they are a pain to get on. And I had to pee like right before I came on, and yeah, it was a bit of an issue getting them back on. So I don't want to have that recorded of me struggling to pee on camera. Um,
Okay, I'm saying it was a
but
really good
I,
idea.
you know what? I'm envious that I did not plan this well because otherwise I would chug the rest of my protein shake and join you in this ceremony. And maybe I need to plan better in the future for this.
Actually, you could do your protein shake, and I can cheers you with my urine.
Okay,
So
yeah, we can at least do that.
I think it's a. Hold on, I'm gonna make this more ceremonious. Let's see. Um, let's see. Uh, whew. All right. Just just for a little
Oh,
visual.
yes.
Oh, you see, I have drank lots of water.
You are like so hydrated.
All right. So the
All
leather
right.
cook. Um, to a wonderful conversation and new friendship.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on this little episode.
All right. Cheers. Mmm. So good. Amazing. If anybody wants the rest of it, send me a message.
I'm sure you could make some ice cubes out of it and make some mixed drinks and have people over and they'll enjoy it.
That's a great idea.
Your custom recipe from the Leather Cook. There you go.
Good times.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you have a great weekend. And again, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad I got to know you a little bit before I get to see you this next week.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, take care. I'm going to post this, so you'll have an option to put this on your profile if you want. And yeah, I will see you next week.
Definitely. Okay.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Thank you so much. See you, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.